Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. How sweet it is to be loved by you, the listeners. We just won't have anybody loving on anybody here. That would,
No.
Of course, the sound isn't working on the computer, so I think most people are probably listening on the radio. While they're up there at the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out there on the boat, they've got this cranked.
Oh, they could be riding the motorcycle with the stereo on full blast.
Yeah, that's what they're doing too.
Actually,
I'm sure this is cranked up.
My dad does do that. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there's one.
Remember he called in and gave me a hard time last week, or the week before.
Yeah, that was one of Tori's greatest hits week. All right, moving ahead here, we're kind of still talking about this Boston Marathon bombing, and one other thing that's been bugging me about this, and I know it's hard to believe that something's bugging me, but and all these types of incidents really is how they're becoming just a cause célèbre, something everyone wants to be in on. Everyone wants to be taking part in the national mourning. They want to say they were part of those affected, that we're all Bostonians, which had been mentioned quite a bit. What I want to ask is, what about those people in Texas where the fertilizer plant blew up? We're just now starting to get a little bit more news coverage on that. Do they not rate presidential speeches or moments of silence in Congress or baseball games being played in their honor, flags being flown at half-staff? At this point, the bombing in Boston has killed 3 people and injured approximately 141, while the explosion in Texas has killed 14, including 11 volunteer emergency responders, and injured close to 200. The blast from that registered a 2.1 magnitude, which is similar to a small earthquake. The key difference being, of course, the blast that created that 2.1 occurred at ground level, whereas earthquakes usually occur deep within the crust of the earth. So where's all the sympathy for the dead and injured in Texas? Where's the 24/7 news coverage? Where are the fundraisers? The simple truth of the matter is the incidents in Boston is tailor-made for capitalizing on politically, whereas the blast in Texas isn't. Therefore, we don't have the coverage, the political maneuvering and posturing that you have occurring in Boston. See, we aren't all Texans, but we are all supposed to be Bostonians, because that is the cause célèbre, the tragedy that we all want to share in. No matter if what happened in Texas killed and injured more people, they don't matter, because they can't be used as easily. Another thing that bothers me about this whole Boston incident is the behavior of people in Watertown when the police were looking for that one suspect that got away. The citizens were all told to go home and lock their doors. Didn't the authorities in Watertown, and for that matter everyone else in the area, did none of them learn anything from this latest shooting in Sandy Hook? The policy in the school was, and in most schools it still is, lock the door to the classroom, huddle in a corner, and pray the shooter doesn't want into your classroom bad enough to shoot his way in. The same thing happened up there. They're advising everyone to stay home. They practically shut down the city looking for this terrorist, as if no one in that city is capable of defending themselves except for the police. For that matter, guns are heavily restricted, so it might have been better for everyone to barricade themselves in their houses. But look at the precedent this sets. The government is telling everyone to stay inside while they handle the situation. So what happens when the next incident occurs? Does everyone have to go home and sit waiting for everything to get done? Do they all go sit in their rooms while the adults handle the situation? That's what it's becoming now. You aren't capable of defending yourself, so you aren't going to be allowed to do it. Go to your room and let mommy and daddy government handle everything. You just sit there until we tell you it's okay to come out. This is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. This wholesale turning over of one's life to government. Feed me, house me, protect me. Too many people in this country are starting to really become, well, for lack of a better word, wards of the state. All they are capable of doing is going to work, earning money, and paying their taxes. That's it. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's all they want to do. They want their government to do everything else. A job it is all too willing to do, because in the process, it will be removing more of your freedom and liberty, along with your motivation to try and get all of that back, all in the name of taking complete care of you, protecting you from the bad people of this world. As you heard on this show today, a lot of people welcome that sort of thing, especially when they can be scared out of their wits from all the news coverage. The constant beating to death of whatever the news story is, the milking to get everything out of it they can. The news media are giving the terrorists, if it turns out they're terrorists, they're giving these idiots the publicity they require to accomplish their mission. You see, terrorism doesn't work if no one doesn't hear about it. That is one of the key components of it. Otherwise, they just blow bombs up out in the middle of nowhere. By grinding this story in the ground, we're giving these people the attention they desire. We do the same thing for these crazy people who go on killing sprees. We continuously say their names over and over, talking about what they did and how they did it, giving them hundreds and hundreds of hours of airtime. But as I mentioned before, the news media does it as ratings, plain and simple. They tell you it is to inform, but it isn't. Don't be that gullible to believe that lie. That's why they talk about the cause célèbre over and over, and not the blast in Texas where more people were injured and killed. They hype it up, and a whole lot of people buy into it. Not because they might care, but because they are supposed to care. And that's how they want to be seen, as caring for the current crisis. The funny thing is, for those of you who have watched Seinfeld before, or even the reruns, Kramer ran into this sort of problem when he signed up to participate in an AIDS walk, but refused to wear the goofy red ribbon. Yeah, refused to wear that ribbon on his shirt, and here's a cut of that.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Come back here and put this on!
So he gets started in the AIDS walk and is confronted again, even though he is walking in the actual event. His commitment is called into question merely because he isn't wearing the red ribbon.
Hey, where's your ribbon?
Oh, I don't wear the ribbon. You don't wear the ribbon? Aren't you against AIDS?
Yeah, I'm against AIDS. I mean, I'm walking, aren't I? Just don't wear the ribbon.
Who do you think you are?
Put the ribbon on.
What the show is making fun of all these people who put more credence in shallow outward displays than actually doing something. Here's one more clip from that show.
Are you going to wear the ribbon? No, never. But I'm wearing the ribbon. He's wearing the ribbon. We are all wearing the ribbon. So why aren't you going to wear the ribbon? This is America. I don't have to wear anything I don't want to wear.
This is America. I don't have to wear anything I don't want to wear. This show is from the mid-'90s, yet it points out the shallowness, the need to be part of a crowd, to be considered caring and concerned about the correct things. In case you're a little younger and haven't seen that particular Seinfeld episode, another show, which is pretty popular, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, also hit on this theme a few years ago. And they're addressing the current rage at that time, which was Lance Armstrong bracelets.
Those bracelets symbolize jumping on fashion trends. And you know what the thing that's so rad is? They come in all kinds of colors now. So you can accessorize your compassion with your outfits. Really cool.
Accessorize your compassion with your outfits. Something that you really need to think about. All right, we're up on the last break here on the Patrick Riggins Show. When we return, we'll have a little bit more on this, and we may kick around the NSA a little. When we come back, Tori's over here dancing to the D-Light. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
No walls, only the bridge. My supper dish, my crocketesh wish. Sing it.